Dishes are an under-discussed topic in parenting books. While others focus on children, not sure why that is, I feel like dishes deserve much more attention simply because of the amount of space they occupy in family life. This morning, my child brought out 6 cups from his room. 6! If I've done nothing else right in parenting, I can be certain of this: I do a damn good job of hydrating my children. Nightly, I am overwhelmed by the enormous task before me, as used plates and serving dishes await on the dinner table, while piles of dirtied pots and pans and kitchen gadgets overflow the sink. It feels like an impossible job until it's done. Every single night. And how do I do it? I always start with the smallest dish, the one little measuring cup or the small sauce bowl. I scrub it, rinse it, place it on the drying rack, and move on to the next small thing. Our world today feels like the disastrous kitchen after dinner, with messes, stains, and unknown substances caked on walls. As much as I am a progressive, believing the world improves human life over time, it's undeniable that we are facing some of the most severe crises history has ever seen. Our warming Earth threatens us with record-breaking hurricanes, melting ice caps, and the annihilation of species. Social media gives us constant access to the pulse of societal ills, and we collectively feel the throbbing, rapid-fire beat of communities, stressed from violence, strife, and tragedies. The news cycle relentlessly vies for our attention, mixing feelings of outrage and despair, with no end or escape. Most of us react with instinctive fight-or-flight responses, either resisting every evil and finding ourselves in burnout, or succumbing to paralysis. But there is another way. Overwhelmed with the bigness of the world's problems, we can start small. The small measuring cup, the small bowl, the smallest humans. The activists and celebrities are not the ones who affect change in the world. Or rather, I should say, they do it by exerting wide influence on all the ordinary people who are creating real change in their homes, around their dinner tables, with their families. This is how we build a better world, doing one tiny act of love at a time and moving on to the next small, right thing. Bit by bit, we can get the impossible job done by homing in on the small things with the small people. Nelson Mandela famously said, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." The children of our world form a window through which we find both the diagnosis and the cure for our sickness. They are the first to feel the impacts of our various devastations. The ecological crisis, rampant consumerism and income inequality, violence and war disproportionately affect the littlest ones. According to UNICEF, nearly half of the world's extreme global poor are children, deprived of basic human rights such as nutrition, health, water, education, or shelter. And yet only half of the countries in the world even gather child poverty data. When it comes to the world of development and humanitarian aid, it seems the old adage, "Children are to be seen and not heard," applies. Their cries for basic human dignity are largely ignored. Naomi Klein, a world-renowned writer and activist on the issue of climate change, calls the current ecological crisis intergenerational theft, robbing the next generation of a diversity of wildlife species, the wonder of the Great Barrier Reef, and a peaceful life free from the devastation of natural disasters as a direct consequence of a warming Earth. Who bears the brunt of our poor stewardship? Children. We consume, they pay the debt. It is a grand theft of the most egregious kind.